Now is the time for the time with the children. Children, you are watching this at home, maybe on Good Friday. We're almost to the end of Lent. We are almost ready to enter the mystery of Easter. I'm so ready for Easter. I hope you are too. Let's hear more about our story, the story that helps us to get ready to enter the mystery of Easter. We've been in Lent. This is our 6th week in Lent. We're almost done. Remember how the story started with the baby, the Word of God being born, a wordless child. And already from the beginning, he could see the cross when he looked into the face of the Mother Mary and the Father Joseph. That baby grew. That was the baby Jesus. He grew and became a boy. And when he was almost 12, his parents found him in the temple talking with the priests who were amazed at what he had to say and what he knew. And his parents wondered, why did you do this thing? Because he wasn't with them when they went home to Nazareth. And they had to go back and find him in the temple. And he said, didn't you know I would be in my Father's house? They didn't understand, but they didn't forget. The boy Jesus grew and he became a man. And when he was about 30 years old, he went to his cousin John at the River Jordan, and John baptized him. And Jesus went down into the dark and chaotic waters, and then John lifted him up, and the people there that day, some saw a dove ascend on him. Other people heard a voice saying, "This is my son, whom I love, with whom I'm well pleased." After his baptism, Jesus went into the desert. He went into the desert for 40 days and 40 nights without anything to eat or drink. He went there to learn more about who he was and what his work was to be. And he resisted the voice that came and tempted him 3 times, trying to get him to be the kind of king that he was not to be. Jesus said no 3 times, and the voice went away. And then Jesus came out of the wilderness, and he began his work. And his work was to come so close to people, especially the people nobody else wanted to come close to. And when Jesus came close to people, they began to see things they couldn't see before, and they started to do things that they had never done before. Jesus also told parables, and then he learned that he was to become a parable himself. And so he headed into Jerusalem for the last time. And he headed into Jerusalem on Passover week, when the city was full of all the people who had come to celebrate Passover. He didn't come riding in like a king on a white horse. He came in on a donkey. But the people still waved the palm branches for him because he was a king, a different kind of king. And as he came into Jerusalem on Holy Week, the week we're in now, on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, he went and taught in the temple. And then every night he went to the Mount of Olives with his disciples. On Thursday, the guards said that they would come and take him and kill him. But they couldn't find him because he went with his disciples to an upper room in a house, and they had their Last Supper there. And Jesus took the bread and gave thanks to God for it, and broke it and gave it to him and said, "Whenever you break the bread together, I will be with you, and you will remember me." And he took the cup, and he also gave thanks to God for the cup. And he gave it to his disciples and said, "Whenever you take the cup together like this, remember me." But Judas left their supper. And so when Jesus and the other disciples went after supper to the Garden of Gethsemane for Jesus to pray, Judas came out of the shadows and came and kissed Jesus on the cheek, and that was the sign for the temple guards to come and arrest Jesus. And they took him into the night, and the disciples scattered into the night. And the night was long and confusing, and the next day Jesus was taken out of the walls of the city, and he was crucified there. And that afternoon Jesus died, and the sky grew very dark, even though it was only the afternoon. That was Friday, Good Friday, and Jesus was taken down from the cross after he died, and he was buried in a cave. And a great stone was rolled to the opening of the cave to act as a door. On Saturday, it was so quiet, you could almost hear the earth breathing. When Sunday came, the women were the ones who had the courage to go and to be at the tomb just to be close to Jesus. They wanted to remember everything, even if it was hard and even if it was sad. But when the women came to the tomb, the stone was rolled away. And when they looked inside the tomb, it was empty. Jesus had died on the cross, but somehow he was still with them as he is with us, especially in the bread and in the cup. Now, when you look at this side of the picture, you know that the other side is there. And when you look at this side of the picture, you know that that side is also there. And you know what? You can't pull them apart. This is the mystery of Easter, and it makes all the difference. And so the color changes from the color purple to the color white, the color of pure celebration. Now wait a minute. Here's the beginning, here's the middle, and here's the end. But look, when we have only this side of the story has an end. But I just said that there's always this other side, so that the ending is always a beginning. And so we can't leave this story in a line like we've been doing. So let's see what we can do instead.